Hi everyone, I'm Ginger Carlson, and this is Get Thirsty. Your real home is not where you've been, but where you're going. Sometimes you should just have to set out on your own, pick up all the scattered wisdom, and believe in absurdity. Advice is the best gift when it arrives like a stranger knocking on the door of your hideaway. Make a place for it in the infinite home. Raise the rent on your own heart. Capture some sense-making of another way of seeing. Simple silence might be the ocean of true human beingness. Well, hello, sweet friends. I am super excited about today's episode, where and when we dive into this whole idea of finding yourself at a crossroads. Truly, we all find ourselves here at certain times in our lives. I'm going to date myself here and let you know that I'm about to be 50, a half century old. And I count myself one of the lucky ones who has actually recognized myself over the years at being at a crossroads several times. I can say with certainty that being at a crossroad maybe doesn't always feel like it at the time, but it is almost always a blessing. And we will talk about why here today and what to do when you find yourself there. So a crossroad is a stage in your life when you get to make a decision. Some people actually might not view it as that, but the reality is that when you're at a crossroad in your life, you are faced with choices. And if you approach it as though you are in a sacred, privileged place, like I get to choose, then the whole next step of actually doing the choosing is actually going to be much, not just easier, but perhaps even more enjoyable. So here's the thing. When you're struggling with a decision, whether it's been forced on you or you've arrived there all on your own, this time in your life does not have to be an existential crisis or a bad thing. It could be that you're ready for something new, prepared for a new direction. And being at a crossroads might be the best thing and just what you need to. As one of my favorite poems I ever wrote says, wake the alchemy of your humanness. So a crossroads moment could be when you find yourself in one of three places, either leaving, getting, or starting new. You might leave a job, a relationship, a location, a friendship. Maybe you're leaving a mindset behind. Or you might get something. You might get a new hobby, like being ready to learn to dance when it has otherwise scared you all your life. Or you might get new surroundings. Maybe you just know you need to head out on the road, move to a new town, or in my case, several times, a new country many times, so that you can refresh your perspective on the world. Perhaps you're getting a new job or a next step in your growth. Opportunities for newness are actually everywhere. And that's also a crossroads. One of my favorite quotes is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I take that very seriously. If you're not keeping your eyes, your ears, and your soul open to growth, you are on the road to having one foot in the ground. It's perhaps the most frustrating, but also the most exciting time to be alive, to be a learner, to be a human, or a leader. As I know most of you are a leader in some way or another. And we have the most amazing opportunity in front of us if we can shift from survival mode to maintenance and then evolve past that to thriving. And that involves recognizing when we are ready or on the cusp of being ready for new growth and going after it. And in that way, you might be at a crossroads if you are ready to start something new in your life, to start a new business, a new relationship, to create something new, to be ready to invite a new baby into your family, to build a new home, or to start learning that new skill. As of course, the first step in anything is that we are aware of where we are at. So let's dive in. How do you know when you're at a crossroads? So I'm going to share with you 7 signs that you might be at a crossroads in your life. And I've actually identified with each of these signs at one point in my life or another. And in recognizing it and acting on it with each time, I've been able to take the next step and create something completely new in my life. And you can too. Sometimes that has been at the start of a new project, like writing a book, or perhaps it was a move or seeking a new job opportunity internationally. Or sometimes it was hard things, like the choice to pursue a divorce, or to buy a house, or to learn the tango. A crossroad can be big or seemingly small. And the point is that you have a choice to make. So here's the signs that you might be there. Perhaps you feel a little lost or in limbo, almost like you have no direction. You might have issues with motivation. That you can even have trouble, what I call, quote, feeling the day. Kind of like you're just kind of floating through those days. Another sign is that it's very closely related to that, but it has a little bit more nuance, is that you find yourself walking through the things you used to do with energy, but perhaps not as passionately as you used to. Can you identify with that? Just kind of life and the things you used to be super passionate about just kind of lose their luster. Or perhaps you start looking at your life choices in a questioning way. This is something I've experienced over and over when I've been at important decision-making times in my life. And I've found myself asking myself some crucial questions. Is this what I really want? Is this my path? Should I really be doing this? And sometimes maybe you even criticize yourself and some of your life choices. And another sign is that you find yourself looking for something new. Not like in a going after shiny objects way, just that perhaps something in your life has just run its course. And you know that you will soon need to bring closure to that thing and perhaps go a different direction. Or it could just be that the new thing is that you are ready to learn the next thing, take the next step in what you have already accomplished. I know when I was seeking my first master's, that is what I felt like that it was a natural next step. And it really was a very easy decision. But the decision to pursue doctoral level work was like being at a crossroads for a very long time, because I knew that was a long academic and financial investment, even though it would support my natural next step professionally. So I really had to be ready to take that. So let's move on to the 5th sign that you might be at a crossroads. And that is that you might have trouble connecting with your routines, the people in your life, or just your life in general. And this finding yourself in the place where connection is a challenge might be one of the hardest crossroads to navigate. Because often you feel like you don't have people in your life at that moment that will support you. And that is one that we really dig deep into in one of my courses. Who you choose to have around you and how to really deepen the connections in your life and your desires, your connection to your purpose and the work you want to produce or the impact you want to have on the world when you maybe are at a crossroads that way. And the 6th sign is that you sense that there is more waiting for you in life, or there is something out on the edge that you haven't touched yet. This is a really beautiful place to be when you can lean in and savor it. Really enjoy that place so that you can tap into your special, unique skills and talents. And when you do, magical things start to happen. In a future episode, I definitely promise to get into and share some really fabulous, juicy stories about signs and how to know you are on the right track. So stay tuned for that. And finally, the last sign is just that perhaps you feel dissatisfied and you want more. And that's an okay place to be too. So do you recognize yourself in any of that? If you do, my friend, you might be at a crossroads. And now that you know some of the signs of being at a crossroads, lean in. let's be real here. When we feel uncertainty, it can be hard on our bodies and souls. It might manifest as illness, sadness, perhaps confusion. And when those feelings are not addressed, they can snowball into wrongful choices or hurtful behaviors. And we need to take care for it when we recognize ourselves at a crossroads. Perhaps we need to take a pause and plan for it positively and with some decisive courage. So one of the things I talk about in my courses is awareness plus action equals aliveness. And identifying yourselves at a crossroads is a first step, an awareness of place, so you can decide what to do, where to go, which way to follow at your crossroads. So you might be at a crossroads, and guess what? How wonderful if you are. You get to choose. And what if you choose one direction and start? Baby steps lead to miles covered. You can do this. And your job now is to just trust the process. You will get there. You will make a decision. You will take the next step. You will have the courage to do it. Perhaps you need a little immediate inspiration. And if so, I've curated a Crossroads playlist. One of the things that fuels my life like perhaps nothing else is music. And so I will share different playlists from time to time, and they are at gingercarlson.com/soundtracks for the soul. And I'll link to it in the show notes. Please reach out. I would love to hear from you about what kind of crossroads you might be finding yourself at right now. These last few years have done a couple of things. They've taken a toll on us, for sure. But now, people are emerging feeling they have decisions they get to make in their life. What's yours? So as you contemplate that, I'll leave you with this little poem, one I wrote when I was at a crossroads several years ago, and I needed to make perhaps the biggest decision in my life and kickstart a new direction for myself. And it goes like this. Everything drops to its knees and begs for light. Don't even consider for a second. You are not wild enough to draw that light in, to inspire it to dance, collide with its own radiance, and birth a new kind of star. All right, my courageous friend. Until we meet again, I wish you a beautifully reflective dive into yourself so that you can come up for air, ready for your next great step. I'll see you next time.